I like to start the meeting on time, promptly. It's always good, prompt. So, because I know she's full of enthusiasm, because I know how much she loves tax season.
Yes.
Jessica?
Yeah.
Would you like to give some of that fiery tax season enthusiasm?
All right, everyone, are we ready? We're going to say the four-way test together. And here we go. Of the things we think, say, and do, is it the truth?
Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you.
Sure.
Woo. All right. Visitors.
You got to think about it too, Bob.
No visitors? I was wondering if your napkin was a visitor there for a moment. You were visitors. We have. I know we have.
Ian has one back there.
In the back. There's a couple back here.
This is my daughter Tasha.
And I see three interactors. Please.
I'm Mona. I'm Erin. I'm Caitlin.
All right, thanks for meeting.
Good morning. I'm Abby. I'm an exchange student from Brazil, and I'm with Rotary Club of Old Town Rico.
I might be confused about this, but it feels like we see you more than Finn.
Probably.
It's all right.
My guest this morning, this is Aaron Bennett. He works for Whitchurch Engineering. He was introduced to Rotary through Hyder, who introduced him, at least via text, to Terry, who can't be here today. And so Terry asked if I would be happy to introduce him. So my guest, who I just met this morning, is Aaron.
All right.
Excellent. Others? All right. So I'm gonna let Barbara say something about this, because this is supposed to be about my pet project that I haven't shown up to yet. So I'm gonna let someone who's actually been there say something.
Okay. And Ray, I hope you're doing better.
Fine.
back.
We just
Okay.
we're moving past.
Okay, moving on. So thank
Step
you.
right up to the front.
Thank you to everybody who made it out. So why don't you stand up? Everybody who's here who came out and helped prep. Let me go back to that first slide.
Oh, okay.
So this picture cracks me up. You know, we were a little light on help Tuesday afternoon, and so we put out the word, can we get some help? And Craig showed up. And he had been there the day before. He must have put spackle on about 13,000 holes the first day. But he showed up. He came back out. We put out the call, and Craig came back. And just as I was leaving, I said, well, let's go take a selfie. Let's take a selfie before I go. And so I said, well, let's go over to Craig. And so we all went over, and Craig didn't ever stop working. Doesn't even know Craig. You know that's how Craig is. He's a worker.
Get it done.
Get it done.
So yeah, we prepped and painted the main hall Tuesday and Monday and Tuesday, and then today and tomorrow is going to be prepping and painting the foyer.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And so I really especially want to acknowledge and thank Bob. The project would not have happened without Bob. And I gotta say, I love Bob in his role at the paint store, so I'm super happy he's out there with the paint and all that stuff. So yeah, it's gonna make a huge difference for them. I don't know how much work there is gonna be actually. If you need more help, have more help than you need.
You know, I don't know what to say. We're in that entry, and it is going to be tighter. And you know, if there's too many people, we're just going to be all over each other. So it's just hard to say. Everybody who has signed up, if you show up, that's great. And I don't know if we put out another emergency
help things, then come on down. But
And they've been doing great at the community hall. They've been providing lunch for us. So if you are going, lunch is there at noon. Feel free to just show up for lunch if you want.
do that, do that on Saturday, and that way, if we need to get things completed on Saturday, because we're going to be out of there, then we could certainly put you in a job, and that would be after lunch, and that's on Saturday. Most people are off and all that, so that would be a great way to wrap it up.
Okay. And yeah, this is the 6th one of these that we've done that I know of, and I know that every single time we've done one that I'm familiar with, it's made a huge difference for the organization and taken them to the next level. So I look forward to that happening here as well. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody who's working on it, and thank you, everybody, for being here to support it. So, to where we are. Announcements.
So 2 months ago, we passed out dictionaries to co-graders, and they sent us thank you notes, so I'm just going to pass those around. And then Wine Fest is tomorrow. I still have a few tickets left, 5:30 to 8 in the Cape in Canada. And let's see, 21 different wineries and cideries. And Dutch Raffle, we have some amazing items. And what else? Oh, the big raffle, you can win a trip to New Zealand, or let's see, I don't know. Flights for 2, accommodation for up to $8,000 cash prize, or an instant wine cellar, which is 2 cases of local wine. Those tickets are $20 each, or 6 for $100. And yeah, it's your last chance. You do not need to be present to win.
You're there.
I'm there. I'm there. And I get to put on the derby hat. How's it look? Okay. I should have brought my receipts, my little horse tickets. But anyways, Taste of Spring is coming up. Dustin, yes, come on. The theme is the Triple Crown and what is it? The Kentucky Derby, the Belmont, and the Preakness. Yeah, we always forget the Heat ones. Anyways, really just here to talk about, if you weren't here last meeting, the date is now May 3rd. It's a Friday, so get your party pants on or off, however you party. And anyways, and it's from 5 to 9. And then obviously some member obligations. You know, we're not doing the team raffle anymore, so a little bit different. You get to just write us a check for $25. That's nice, right? Everybody likes that. But you also get to pick out your favorite bottle of wine. So pick out a good bottle of wine, and that's pretty much, you know, your raffle item, because that's going into the 2 big raffles. The other obligation is obviously to sell tickets, which we would need a lot of people to sell, or else there's no point in having the event, right? So we'll have 10 tickets to sell per person. You can sell pre-raffle tickets, pre-event raffle tickets as well. And that's how you get the, 4 for 3 on the raffle tickets. So
I sent an email last night detailing all that, so check your inbox and
perfect.
Yep.
Anything else, Dustin?
It's going to be super fun, and we are going to have a best hat contest. So yeah,
that's right.
I thought we might throw some other things in there too, but it's shaping up to be a fun one. So
I'll let you know when tickets are ready to be sold, but just get ready. Put it on your calendar at least. Cool. Perfect.
Right on.
Next time you have the derbies, you have to warn me. I mean, come on. Look at this thing.
I know.
And look for excuses to cover it. You're a confused man. Announcements. Something here?
JJ went to pets.
Yeah. What?
Yeah,
So it was really fun to get those texts in the morning. I was driving and heartwarming. I mean, I really felt like I was here with you guys while I was on my way to absorb a lot of Rotary. Yeah. And it was daunting. There's so many Rotarians just waiting in line, figuring things out. But it was going in front.
Yeah, why don't you come back? And you know what? I'm going to just go ahead and pop this up. So get used to this. You can talk about this. I'll step out of your way.
Definitely met a lot of really great Rotarians. The classes were very educational, a lot of good speakers during some of the lunches and dinners. I did get to interact and like make a few good friends and learned a lot about like what people are doing at the Rotaries. And then I also heard some struggles that some Rotaries are having, so I feel so grateful to have such a lively, engaged club to come into. So it's definitely making me look very much forward to my year and some good things happening. And I guess a good opportunity to plug the district training. So please come at the end of this month. You should have an invitation that's personalized in your inbox, so you can buy a ticket and come and learn more about what the district plans on having during Kathy Flanson's year. So, thank you.
Do you know when this ends?
It's 8 in the morning to like 1:30, so mid-afternoon. And they have like 3 good topics: membership, the foundation, and the brand. It's definitely something that they highlighted at PETS a lot, was just to kind of figure out ways to, I guess, reinforce the brand behind Rotary. So I don't know if a lot of people still use the older Rotary wheel, but they definitely wanted us to, or encourage us to use the new master brand, is what they call it. So
On that, this was like teamwork. You see this? I set up a slide, he threw it up. We're already killing it, guys. He didn't even have to learn anything. He went there to tell every other club how Rotary Club is supposed to run. And that's perfect. We'll keep doing that for him, because I know the district likes that. So, all right. Other announcements? Other announcements? Going? All right.
You know,
Oh, see.
I know,
Yeah.
this one is more community related, but the Justice for Josiah thing had got a pretty heartbreaking news, and so certainly Humboldt State community is very heartbroken. I was thrilled to see our chief of police say that he's going to continue to try and find some answers. But tonight at 5:30, in front of the courthouse, there will be a lot of folks just mainly in solidarity for Charmaine Lawson and her family, and for a lot of broken hearts in the community. So if you happen to be passing by, stop on and just show Charmaine that our community is sending her some love.
All right. Crap talk.
Yeah.
So who wants to do crap talk?
I love crap talk.
Who's up? Somebody? You know what? Since nobody's going to volunteer, I'm just going to randomly pick.
So, yeah, it's been a while. I have a red badge, I think almost after 2 years. I just told them to put glitter on it because I really grew attached to the red at this point. So, I'm just going to go over kind of what I talked about the last time I gave the presentation, and then I'll go more into, because there's a bunch of new members, and I was going to skip this, but someone told me not to. So right now I'm working as a juvenile diversion counselor for the city of Arcata and the Arcata Police Department. I took a little hiatus to explore another job opportunity for a while, but this is really where my heart is. For those who don't know, juvenile diversion is if kids get a misdemeanor offense or an infraction, or they do something at school that they would normally get expelled for, instead of the consequences like expulsion or probation. They get sent to me, and we hook the family up with community resources, or the student with community or with resources at the school. There's also accountability counseling, and it's really all about restorative practices and getting that kid back on the right track. So, I forgot. I'm unprepared. So every time I talk about my program, people ask me, like, how are you qualified? Like, why do you do this work? So, first of all, I have a degree in psychology. I have a master's from Humboldt State in developmental psychopathology. I also worked for Humboldt County Juvenile Hall for 7 years. So that was, watching that rotating door was intense. And you would see kids that would go in there with just like a misdemeanor, and then they would meet other kids who did higher level crimes and had substance abuse issues, and they would basically it's kind of what they call as a contamination effect. So also, you know, I think that something that's really hard for me to talk about, but I do, is that I have a big history in getting on those aces. I hit everyone. So to me, this program is huge to help the kids that I work with who, for all intents and purposes, I could have been in juvenile hall, I could have gone down the wrong path, but this way, this program is so fun. Moving on, so that half was just kind of what I do, where I am currently career-wise, and then the rest of this slideshow is just me taking snapshots of my Instagram and Facebook and kind of showing off because I don't really know what else to do. I really like to travel. This is me at Shuegon Palace with a really good friend. This is me in Thailand. That was a really cool hiking trip that I took with my friends where we looked at a map and we said, where's the farthest waterfall that we can find? And we're like, we're going to that one because no one's going to go there. No one stays in Pai for more than 2 days, so no one's going there. And we hiked and we went through rice fields and rice fields and rice fields, and we were asking locals, like, are we almost close to the waterfall? They're like, no waterfall, nope. We're like, no, we got to keep going. This is like the surfing sucks, don't try it, like, it's there. Like, the locals are trying to keep us out. And so we finally found it. This is, and the bottom picture is me doing it's called volcano sliding. It's on CNN's top 3 thrill seeker. A little bit. That is me in New Zealand. In the ball. I'm somewhere in there. And so yeah, that was the prize that I actually won at the wine festival that's coming up this Saturday. It was an amazing trip. CJ is awesome, and he's just like, here's the trip, here's the directions. Private island that has like a winery on it, and just like amazing views. It was such an incredible trip. I highly recommend you guys to that. You know, I might win again this year, so don't get too excited. These are some animals I met while I was traveling. I think the bear was like the most exciting part of my trip in where was that? But the guy had a bear, and he was like, he's making it log for us. It's a sun bear. And he was like, do you want to feed it? And I was like, yeah, I want to feed it. And he's like, okay, sit down. And this like bear just like crawls up and sits next to me and like looks at me and goes, it makes my mouth. It was incredible, and like it was just like, I don't know, I feel like a kid right there. So. That's my dog. That's Cheese. That's my baby.
Nice shoes.
Yeah. I like adventure, obviously, so I've done Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu and bow hunting and surfing and fishing, and I'll essentially try anything once. That's me and Sophie. We picked blueberries one time. This was another one of those. Someone's like, do you want to pick blueberries and sell them at a music festival? I was like, yeah, let's go do that. Sophie, you want to help? Festivals and Burning Man.
Did you see Howard there?
I didn't see Howard there, actually.
Sorry.
But, you know, I don't know what his burner name is, though, so maybe I'll look him up next time. I'm also kind of actually an introvert. I always tell people that my extroversion is a really good defense mechanism for my, like, shyness. So this is my sticker collection of, like, local businesses. It's, like, huge now. This is, like, really early. I do arts and crafts, so this is like a portrait of someone's cat I did with paper. This is like 10 layers of paper. I do jewelry making, so these are dried flowers in resin, and these are hydrangea leaves in resin. Crafts, me repairing skateboards, making bracelets and necklaces. I'm also an artist. This is a Salvador Dali painting I did on a mirror that I donated to a fundraiser. I also did a utility box in Eureka.
Awesome.
Right now I'm trying to do another mural for Eureka Chamber of Commerce. I'm hoping to get it. That was, yeah, so maybe you've seen that on Henderson and H. But Yeah. So, yeah. I did my first art show last year, or this last year, and I really appreciate everyone who came out and supported me, and it was really successful. I actually have another art show coming up for Arts Alive Eureka, and so I'm really excited to just kind of branch out, and I don't know, this is like the side of me that just kind of evolved, or I've been putting in public more.
Nice.
So, but yeah, that's pretty much me.
Good.
Thank you. I know you said you like red more, but next week we're going to switch you to blue. Well, we can discuss it. Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, all you have to do.
Past president.
No, we might, if we have it, hey, it might happen today. All right. Well, we're going.
Oh yeah,
That's art. Right. Just, it's okay. So we're going to pause on this for a moment because we're perfect on our time right now. And
So we're
gonna ruin it. We're gonna just ruin it. I'm really, really sad that we're gonna do our thing. Is Joyce here?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. You're supposed to be over there. I kept looking for you, and I'm like, you can show up.
She snuck in, she didn't want to make a picture.
You're sneaky. So Joyce has been doing awesome stuff for recognitions. And there is one that I was going to pop up, but Tom isn't here. And I'm really sad about that. So I'm going to save that for him. It's at the end because I want him to be here for that. 'Cause it's good.
But I do have a couple others. Do you have time to do them?
Absolutely.
All right. Because
But you're gonna have to get over here and get in frame, otherwise
I
this is
am.
moving
God, no
4 more
kidding.
takes.
I got this thing on my lap.
This side.
If I get physically injured from this tripod, I'm gonna be really
So
pissed.
I'm not going to work today. My youngest daughter is getting married in August, and her bridal shower is tomorrow. So my oldest is home, and we're going. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing whatever she says. She's planned it all.
But can't you wear anything under the robe anyway?
That's what we say. I can wear anything under the robe I want. But so I've been collecting some, and Claire's here today, and I do have a picture from a while back. But you want to stand up and talk about your picture? It's the picture.
Oh gosh, yeah. This is Christmas, and all our kids are scattered now, except for one is here. So everyone came home. Hyder's father, some of you know, Hyder's half Iraqi, half German, which makes for a very interesting family. And his father has been in Iraq settling his parents' estate, and so he has been gone a while, and he was able to come back also. He's 82 now. Mom, Oma, is here. She's also 82, and then all of the kids. So it was a really lovely holiday that we had. Really enjoyed having everyone here. And then we're going to take off in April and go see our son Niall, who's now in Nottingham, England, to visit him. So yeah, that's kind of it.
Once you send me the picture, it stays here until we get to talk about it. So so we did do random generation. We did not do very well with the turnouts today, though people sent stuff.
But Bob's here.
I know Bob's here. Though to prove that the random generation is random, we're going to hear from Brian again.
You know we have 2 Brians.
Oh, that's right.
Random access Plumley.
I got the email last night. It could not have been worse timing since I shared everything exciting in my life the last 2 weeks. So I just made some stuff up. No, actually, I'm really proud. Yesterday we found out that Edward Jones was named the #1 in customer satisfaction for full service brokerages for 2019. Yeah, I just found out yesterday, so that was perfect. We're also first, like the 18th time in a row in the Forbes Best Place to Work. We were #7 this year, best companies in the U.S. to work for, so that was also very exciting. And things are going really well.
And actually, I see Howard. Howard has something to say.
Do I?
You do? I can probably
Yes,
one.
no, I have to tell you that my Rotary projects are very much central part of my life these days. You know, the project in Pakistan, really glad that we're continuing to fund schools being constructed there. And also, I live very near the Bayside Community Hall, so we're all very appreciative of how this club is contributing to that. I will say too that you know I love to travel, and so I've been planning our trip, Rebecca and me, and we're going to go back to Europe, and this time I'm going to be bicycling from Innsbruck with a buddy, Jim Stevenson. My wife doesn't like to bicycle, so she'll be hiking in northern England while I bicycle from Innsbruck down to Venice. It's a
all downhill.
It's all downhill. I'm retired, Bob.
Be careful on the streets of Be careful on the streets of Venice. They're a little slippery.
It's age appropriate going downhill. Yes, but also I'm going to go on a tour up the Nile. I've always wanted to take that tour, and it's actually safer to travel in Egypt than it is to go to the co-op. Because a good friend of mine was actually the person who was stabbed and almost killed in front of the co-op about a year or so ago, if you remember that random incident. So I figured it's safer for me to go to Egypt than to be around here. So anyway, that's plenty going on in my life.
So we'll get the pictures when you get back.
Nice.
And then Barbara, so glad she got to
So
talk.
You're gonna be here next week.
No, I'm not. I'm going to be in Del Norte, which is what I'm going to talk about just for
All right, so here are, you want to go through pictures or do you
So
want
you
to?
guys know that I've been working up in Del Norte in Crescent City for 3 years now. And it all started because one day I said to my boss, Connie Stewart, Connie, I'm being grossly underutilized here. I need a project. And she said, here, go talk to Kathy Moxon. We have this project. Little did I know I was going to end up running it. But what we're doing is developing, hey camera, health career pathways for kids interested in going into health careers. And they had absolutely nothing in place when we started. So we're working with the Del Norte County Office of Ed to get curriculum in place all the way, like starting in kindergarten stuff, in kindergarten, 3rd, 5th, high school, and then all the way into, we're bringing the nursing program back up there to College of the Redwoods. And then we're working with healthcare providers.
By the way.
Yeah, woo-woo. At HSU, we're bringing the nursing program back. But that's here at Humboldt. Working with all the healthcare providers up there to create work-based learning opportunities for youth. And then my favorite part is we're creating a cohort of youth that are interested in health careers. And we do 2 different summer programs for them and quarterly workshops and have people in classrooms, provide guest speakers. And so I'm getting to hang out with like all the civic leaders up there and then some really amazing youth. So that's what I'm up to. So, since I used an extra minute, I can, use a little bit more of it to make it real easy. I don't have to actually introduce anyone today because you all know her. It's Charlie. I have a remote for you.
Oh, good.
That's all you need unless you want to point out.
Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you.
And that's the, and I'll get out of your way.
Should I come over with you? No, I can't. Okay. All right. So I've been talking with you guys, quite a few of you, about Guatemala, and you've been very gracious to listen to me, and now I get to tell all of you about Guatemala. So I'm really excited about it. So the arrow goes, hey, yeah, okay. So this last January, I was fortunate enough to go to Guatemala with the Travis Manion Foundation. The Travis Manion Foundation is supported by the Navy SEAL Foundation. Their community is military, and they support survivors who have lost loved ones in the course of their journey.
This is all of us. There were 24 of us, and out of the 24, 22 of us were survivors. 2 were staff folks, and there were siblings, kids, spouses, and parents. So it was a broad representation of the group. This is one of the missions that the Travis Manion Foundation believes in, to empower veterans and families of fallen heroes to develop character and future generations. And their tagline is, "If not me, then who?" And they're really inclusive and really hands-on. We built a house for a homeless family, so that's what we did. We were there for a week. And I was drawn to this because the week that we were there, so 2 things. It's the kind of thing that I knew Kevin, so those of you that may not know, I lost my son, Kevin Everett, who was a Navy SEAL in Afghanistan about 6 years ago. So it's definitely the kind of thing that Kevin would do. And it was over his birthday week. And for those of you that know folks that have lost loved ones, especially children, I think is hardest for parents. There are trigger dates, and birthdays were definitely one of them. So it was one of those. Let's try this as a coping mechanism, so I don't fall apart. And I might cry, so I apologize for that. So our family was Alex, Josephina, and their daughter Katrin, and they we were able to meet them through a video. They're a family in Guatemala, and what you're looking at here is Josefina and her daughter sitting in front of what they called home. The picture on the right is what their home looked like. Alex is 27, Josefina is 26, and their daughter is 2. And when we were there, she was pregnant with their second child, about 3 months pregnant. He builds fireworks, which is pretty popular in that area, that part of Guatemala. We were just outside of Guatemala City in San Raimundo. And he makes $54 a week, which translates to about $2,800 a year. So definitely, they're considered homeless and definitely at the bottom of the socioeconomic scale. And they're chosen by their pastor and local churches, who partner with Casas por Cristo, and I'll talk more about Casas later. They're basically the organization that Travis Manion partners with, and they have history, they have relationships, they go in the country, they have all the infrastructure, and it makes it really easy for the foundation to partner with them, and they also know that the folks that are getting served are deserving because they're vetted. And this is a little bit more about how they live. So it's not uncommon to outdoor, very outdoor. This is, oh, there we go. So that's a kitchen. And they do a lot of outdoor cooking, and it's pretty typical. I'm going to say more about Casas, like I said, but right now I want to share a couple of things, just because it'll give you some foundation. It's pretty typical in second and third world countries for one of the most stable organizations within the social network of the country is to work with churches. You know, governments as we know go, and political swings back and forth. And the other, so that's one of the reasons that Casas works with the churches. One of the reasons. The other thing that I found out specifically about Guatemala is that there's a caste system, and there's a lot of disparity between the very few of the haves between them and the have-nots. And the families that Casas serves and that Travis Manion in turn serves are in the bottom rung of the caste system, and they're mostly indigenous people. They typically live on the hillsides. They're descendants of the Mayans. They're usually well educated, and it's pretty difficult for them to rise out of that. You know, the other thing that I wanted to say is that this is very typical. We saw this everywhere, this type of housing. So, sign of hope. When a family is identified to receive a CASAS house, this sign is called a sign of hope, and it's posted on a post near the property. It identifies that the process has started to gain the permits and permissions in country for them to receive a CASA house. And our family, it takes a while, and for our family it took just over 2 years. Yeah, so that's, there, you can pass it around. So let me go back for a minute. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about, so the houses are actually given to the women, and that's on purpose, because 99.99% of the time, women will be stable, they'll stay in the home, they'll raise the children, whereas the men go off, they work, and one of the things that we heard about was a story about unintentional consequences that happened. It wasn't the goal of CASAS. They've been doing, again, I'll tell you a little bit, they've been doing this work for a number of decades. But it wasn't their intention for this, their goal was to provide houses. But the unintentional consequence that they discovered was after they heard about this woman, they provided a house, and then they heard the backstory. Well, this woman, her husband left to go to Guatemala City to work and never came back. He abandoned the family. She had 2 children under 7. And she's living on the property in the similar shacks that we just saw. And her brother-in-law would come over and just use her whenever he wanted to because she wasn't good for anything else. That was the mentality. And the family, the village would turn a blind eye. So she worked with her pastor to get a job, which is pretty unheard of, and she earned enough money that while the kids were in school, she could rent one room where they all stayed. So she abandoned the family land where she was living in, and she did this, and she was identified to receive a house. Sometimes it takes, like I just said, about 2 years before you can actually get one. She got a house, she moves back onto the property. Now, if her brother-in-law even steps on her property, the family and the village will stone him to death. So it's pretty black and white. And it's not because of anything other than she has now risen to a higher caste. And they take that socioeconomic definition, or status very seriously. You just don't interact with other members outside your caste, which was pretty interesting. And I don't know any more about that. That's really all I was able to learn. But I find it pretty interesting because the unintentional consequence now is that she has a home. She can live on her family, on her family property. She still has the job. She's able to have better health and education for her children, and certainly is rising in the world. And then to put it in perspective financially, I told you Alex, our family, he makes $2,800 a year. The receiving a CASA house is equivalent to like receiving $60,000. I mean, it's huge. They're definitely empowered, and because of their tradition to pass down property from generation to generation, this house, as long as it's standing, and some of them have been standing for a number of decades, will continue to help that family and continue to rise. And I think that's pretty cool. So going on, we stayed in San Bernardino, which is like a small town outside of, it's actually a small city outside of, Guatemala City. And it was the week the fair was there. So the engineers in the house would be interested to know that Ferris wheel was tied down with rope and sandbags. And it went like this. And it's a little hard to see this other photo right here. But that was the nighttime procession, and it's, of course, you know, they make fireworks there, so there were tons of fireworks, and it was So this is, so again, Casas took care of all of our housing and transportation needs, and on the, on the left here, this, I don't want to see that yet. On the left here, this was like bunk style, you know, hacienda. There's a large dining area, and then this is our bus. Our bus was Daniela,
cool.
and our bus came from Virginia. So here's the thing, and I'm going to go pretty quickly from here on out. But they take these buses when they're deemed no longer safe. Here, they're school buses, and they drive them down there, and they put manual transmissions in them, paint them all up, and that's, you know, and so, yeah, that's what we, and they were great. We had a good time. Some of us had a better time. We got a little adventurous and got on top, and they thought we were totally crazy Americans. But that was pretty fun. You had to know how to limbo down because the electric wires and the festive flags were pretty lit, but it was a lot of fun. Okay, the house. This is the path up to the house. Like I said, these folks live, you know, on the hillsides, and it was about a 5 to 6% grade. We had all of the material delivered, which was great, but we packed in and out all of the tools. The materials are chosen for the climate. You know, it's wet there. It was all treated. Conditions, the concrete is filled with rebar because of the conditions locally. There's active volcanoes and lots of earthquakes. And I'm going to start going faster. The property, I don't know if you can see it. It's hard to see, but so they spent about 2 years preparing the property because again, it's on the hillside. So they had to dig it out. And this is the retaining wall that they built. This is all by hand, by the way, with just materials on the property. And I don't know if you can see this or not. It's a little tough. But this is about 8 to 10 feet, and then this wall here is a dirt wall, and it's again another 8 to 10 feet. So we had to like dig into the side of the hill to create this path, which was about 60 by 80 feet. It wasn't large. And they had to remove. We saw boulders about the size of beat up bugs. So they had to remove all of that. So I understand why it took 2 years. You're doing that by hand. That was quite the swap project. Foundation here, we're putting in the foundation, leveling it, and then starting to build it. More foundation build. There's the rebar. So we bucket brigade, the sand, gravel, and concrete up to mixing by hand. And this is all the first day. Again, we've got a pad going, and then about 2/3 of the folks were working on the foundation. The rest of us had a pile of lumber that we were measuring and cutting so we could get all the studs for the walls and then the beams and whatnot for the ceiling. And then we started building the same day, and we had to build the walls on top of one another because there just wasn't enough room. So that was all the first day. And then this is the second day. We have a set foundation, not fully cured, but set enough that we start putting walls up. And now we've got, okay, you can see we've got all the walls up. We're starting to put on siding with the roofs going on. This is some of you get to do a lot of different things. Windows, so there's 3 rooms in this house, and there's electricity, no plumbing, outdoor plumbing, and this is just some of the detail work. These are just some shots of the interior. It's kind of a little hard to see because they're dark, but you know, just to get an idea of progress. And then this is the inside of the finished house, and actually that's Brandon. He was just old enough, 18 years old, and he was there with his sister, and they were honoring their dad. But that's pretty cool house compared to the shack, right? Yeah. There's more. So this is the outside. Start to see a little bit of how it comes together. The house is 20 by 16 with a 4-foot porch. You'll see that in a little bit. So the family, these are the sister-in-laws. Their houses were either down the hill or up the hill, and they just thought it was great that we got to help build the house. So by this time, this was the end of the second day, and they were warming up, and I'm leaving out a ton of pictures of playing with the cats and the kids, and you know. So then we finished the house and we had a dedication. And for us, yeah, this was amazing. Everybody got to help. There's there's a Casa por Cristo sign there, and then we had the plaque that listed everybody, and so Kevin's up there with everybody else that we honored. And this was okay. So some of the stuff that we got to do. Everybody donated in our party between $30 and $50 US, and it was enough to purchase this bed, blankets, a ton of kids' clothes, a bunch of toys, food, you know, corn, rice, beans, candy for the kids. It was pretty cool. And then we also purchased an eco filter with 2 years worth of filters, you know, just to help. Yeah. So it was pretty cool. This is the front porch. This is all of us gathered around, and the family sitting there. This is David, the ED of Casas, and we are presenting the house. And part of the presentation of the house is that we go up and we talk to the family. We each tell them about, you know, why we're there and who we're honoring, and we give them an 5x7 photo, and that this is Josefina receiving all of those. And it's not uncommon at all to come back years later and still have those photos displayed in the house. So there's our family. You get to see Alex and Josefina and their little baby, and in front of their front door that locks. So they have a house for the first time in their life. And the last thing that I wanted to say about this is that this is a little, maybe a lot to read. But Casas por Cristo is a organization that started in '93. They've built over 5,000 houses in Mexico, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Dominican Republic. David, I showed you, he was the ED. He's been doing this work actually growing up because his parents were missionaries. And one of the things that they will do is that they will, they'll follow up 3 to 6 months after you build your house. But, you know, they want to keep you connected with your family. If you want, you can go back after a year and check in and visit your family. The cost is $8,500 for a house. Casas will take care of housing, food, transportation for $175 a person for the entire time you're there. We were there for 8 days. It took 3 days to build the house. And the team, you need at least 15 folks. You can see why. 25 is great. You can just knock it out. We can partner with other teams if we want to. I inquired about Rotary, and I'm not quite sure how that works. People have to maybe approach it from the Rotary side and see if there's somebody locally, but we would certainly have a partner that is knowing and can support this effort if we were interested in doing it year after year with Casas. And Casas is faith-based. However, my experience was really positive. They say grace before meal, and basically that was the extent of it. So I didn't feel like there was anything that would prevent us from partnering with them. And the reason I'm sharing this with you guys is because the World Community Service Committee has agreed to donate the remainder of our $2,400 budget this year toward a house, and I'll be taking on the responsibility of fundraising the rest of it for next year, and hopefully we'll have a project where we can actually participate and go in country. So if you guys are interested, keep me in mind. No, and that was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you have questions, stay after and Charlie will answer them. And also, just to cut a couple things, normally we give you a wheelchair certificate. You don't get one, you're going to be Rotarian of the Week. All right, raffle. Raffle. You got to do this quick, man. I don't want to be accused of being dusty here. That's my way of saying thank you. for last week, by the way. That's my way of saying thank you.
118. Last three, 118.
That's good. It's not Dick Johnson. That's always by my picture.
Wow.
Probably gonna win.
I thought the fix was in, Bernie.
I know.
Ah.
Oh, we got you figured out.
096.
Nope.
096.
I turned that over.
Right here.
Okay, well, it's a Johnson
It's a
brother.
Johnson,
It's
yeah.
a Johnson who won, see?
Damn, I should bring my bell before you get drunk. Nope.
Is $1 on the table, Bob?
Hey, hey, hey. Turn your head and cough.
It's $100.
It's $100.
Next week. You're on, McKinney.
Backpacks. Before I ring the bell.
Last year we had, last week.
Last week was a
We had a
scramble.
shortage of people apparently, and I wasn't here
It
last
was a
week.
scramble last
But
week.
As many can get out there, and we need
Yeah, let's
delivery
do it,
today.
people.
So, can anybody deliver today?
Crystal
You are?
and Brandon.
Anybody else? Wonderful.
All right. We'll make sure that we put that in again next week.
Yes.